to the general session of Winterthur's Care and Handling Training Program. Our objective is to familiarize designated staff, students, and volunteers with practices that will promote a safe and successful interaction when working with collection objects. The opportunity to touch any of the unique and irreplaceable artifacts in the collection is a privilege that carries with it considerable responsibility. With thoughtful practice of the information offered to you in this training, you will be better equipped to have a successful and rewarding experience as you work with the collection. The general session is composed of 3 segments. This video, a short test for your review of essential information, followed by an orientation in the collection. After completion of this training, the Director of Museum Collections grants handling privileges to designated staff and volunteers. Moving privileges are granted by the Registrar. The Division of Public Safety records this authorization and issues a photo ID badge bearing an H for the handling privilege and an M for the privilege to move an artifact from its room, gallery, or storage location. The handling and moving of Winterthur's accessioned objects is strictly limited to those who hold active privileges. Those without the handling privilege may not touch any collection objects even with your guidance. Winterthur's Care and Handling Training Program emphasizes that we should handle only when necessary and then with a defined and pre-approved purpose. Staff members with handling and moving privileges are required to attend a training and refresher seminar on working with collection objects once every 3 years to keep their privileges active. The following information covers guidelines for handling and moving artifacts and demeanor when working in the collection, as well as a review of fundamental guidelines for handling all object groups. How do you approach and pick up an irreplaceable object? This question becomes more complicated when the object is surrounded by other irreplaceable objects. When considering collection safety, your state of mind is an important factor. In a gallery setting, artifacts are safely placed on a plinth or pedestal or placed under a vitrine. When we enter the collection, we introduce risk to the safety of the objects. To reduce the risks to the collection from our interactions, keep these 3 topics in the forefront of thought and activities: personal awareness, communication, and risk assessment. Be aware of the impact your activities can have on artifacts and architecture. Make sure your hands are clean, just washed, and no lotion applied. Clothing should be free of buttons and belts that might scratch objects. Sandals and open-toed shoes should not be worn when working in the collection. Shoes should have soft, non-marking soles. Remove or cover jewelry, badges, buttons, watches, and keys that might scratch an object during examination and movement. Never bring food or drink into any area where there are collection objects. Never use pens in the collection because of the damage ink might cause. Never lean on an artifact or use an artifact to write on. And do not place anything on an artifact. The spirit of the care and handling privilege stresses limited handling. Some objects are designated as no move, and some objects require special handling, such as objects with mounts. These are identified in the first pages of the Black Room Book, an excellent resource to keep in mind when working in the collection. Located near the entrance of each room, the book contains information on procedures to follow if damage is discovered or caused, and for emergency situations. You will also find the architectural history of the room, and information sheets on each object in the room. Always contact the registration office for assistance before you attempt to handle any collection object with special designations, or if the object has a loan number. Should you discover or have a major accident, leave the scattered pieces as they fall and call the registration office to report the location, and remain at the scene until help arrives. If you observe a situation that might affect the well-being of the collection, for example, a water leak, dial 4911 to report it. When planning to handle and move an object, consider the following. Do not rush. Determine the tools and materials you will need. Know the correct methods for packing and padding an object for transport, and make sure you have the assistance you need from others. You may find it necessary to move an object to gain access to another. If you must move an object, move it to a safe area within the room or to a cart. Smaller objects may be moved to furniture and windowsills if safe. Always consider the effects of light, temperature, and air movement in all new locations, especially with organic objects such as ivory and tortoiseshell. Before moving an object, think through these steps. First, assess the complexity of the move. Consider the fragility, size, and weight. Identify vulnerable areas such as past repairs and moving or loosely attached parts. Second, is there monofilament, microcrystalline wax, or a mount securing it in place, or does it need to be disassembled? Third, if you are moving the object from its room location, identify the route to your destination. Review the path and terrain, and determine the materials you will need for padding, support, and stabilizing, and other objects that must be moved. Fourth, before handling any object, determine your safest grip that offers the object optimal support. These general guidelines apply to all artifact categories. For the remainder of this seminar, we will look at specific concerns within each specialty area, beginning with objects.